Cole Caufield is having a different year than he did last year. By this time last season, he had 3 goals and 2 assists, whereas this season, it's a lot less even in terms of goals and assists. Caufield now has potted 6 goals and has 1 assist in 6 games. He's over a point per game and is currently sitting at 1 goal per game, which puts him tied for 6th for points, tied for 2nd in goals. And that's with less games than many of those in the rankings. So what does this mean? Does this mean Caufield is going to have a stellar year? No, not necessarily, but he's going to have his best year yet. And let me tell you why. Let's talk about it. First off, I want to tell you about this new mobile game that I've been playing. Just kidding. I'm not even close to a sponsorship deal yet, but I'm hoping that when I do get close to a sponsorship deal, I can choose a reputable partner and you'll all support me, right? And I'll continue to make this channel bigger. And that's also why I would love if you could like and subscribe if you haven't already. And stay tuned because at the end of the video, I'm going to talk about some news and updates regarding the New York Rangers game tomorrow. So we all know that Cole Caufield has had his ups and his downs in terms of point production. He has a roller coaster of stats, and nothing has been all that much consistent throughout an entire season, except for maybe ice time and maybe more notably, shot totals. One thing that fluctuates wildly is his shot percentage, and herein lies where I believe Cole will have his best year yet once you take into account his shot total consistency with his shot percentage currently. Last season, Cole started off strong and ended the season strong. In his first month of play, he accomplished 4 goals and 6 assists, while in April, he achieved 8 goals and 2 assists. Between those 2 months, he had mostly weaker results, except for one right in the middle, January 2024, when he scored 7 goals and had 6 helpers. So what can we draw from that information? Well, we know that Caufield has his slumps, but what in that information is similar to what's happening so far in this very short start of the season? Well, it looks like again, he is off to a very strong start, but actually much stronger than it was last season, where he had a 10.8 shot percentage. He now has a 30% shot percentage, which is basically a 1%er tier percentage. Very difficult to hit that type of shot percentage. Just to put it into perspective, the league's player with the highest shot percentage last season was Sam Reinhart with 24.46%. And his best month, he finished with 33.3%. So 3.3% higher than Caufield's shot percentage currently. So let's be realistic. You might be jumping to conclusions with what I'm about to say, but let's weight things here. So we've already established that Cole has had his slumps. Well, if we stack up what we already know and compare his first 6 games to his first 6 games of last season, he's shooting nearly 15% better than he was last season. So while I admit that a little bit of this relies on a pretty small data size, and I would probably be better comparing quarter over quarter or maybe half over half, I think you can actually mitigate some of that by saying, hey, Caufield is getting better. He's not in his prime, he's getting there. We know that peak scoring age for forwards is 28 years old, and Caufield's only 23. So if you're following my math, taking into account that he does have a pretty consistent monthly shot total of 44 shots or 308 shots per season, take his final shot percentage of last season, which was 8.9%, and add the improved margin of 15%, but for the sake of being conservative, their estimates, let's chop that in less than half at 7%. Now you'll end up with a shot percentage of 15.9%. Then divide that by his total shots, and you'll have 48 goals. That's huge. So that is a big number, considering the big criticism for Caufield is he's the best 40 goal scorer that's never scored 30 goals. So I did say that I was going to be conservative with our estimates, but maybe that's not conservative enough. So let's cut it in half again. Let's say he would achieve 3.5% better than he did last year in terms of shot percentage. That would then mean he would pot around 38 goals. He would still silence the haters that always say, oh, Cole is the best 40 goal player that's never scored 30 goals, because he scored over 30 goals. They'd have to move the goalposts at that point and say he's the best 50 goal player that's never scored 40 goals. So how's that sound? That sounds pretty good, right? Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Yeah. Thanks. Bye. All right. So that was my lawyer. He asked me to release a statement about this video. If Cole gets injured, all bets are off, obviously. Played 82 games last season, but if we're betting that Caufield will score over 40 goals this season, you know what? Do it. I say he scores over 40. If I could still make double my money back by saying he scores over 30, I'd probably do that. But come back to this video in 3 months and tell me how you're feeling. So before I ended the video, I said that I would talk a little bit about updates regarding the New York Rangers game. And the first thing that I saw was Montembeault will return to net. This is kind of to my dismay. If you watched my last video, I said that since Primo is rolling hot, it would be nice to see him have the opportunity to get a couple of games in, at least while he's hot. There's a lot of questions about Primo, and I think he'd like to answer them. But to me, it doesn't make sense to take a hot goaltender, take him out of net, and break that up. There might be other things at play here, and this will really provide a good eye test on just how far Montembeault and Primo are in terms of consistency. And then looking at the lines from practice today, I think we're in for a little bit of a shakeup. Keep in mind, Slav was absent from the practice today, therapy day for him. I don't think that should sound any alarms, but listen to this. First line, Caufield, Zooks, Doc. Doc was filling in on the wing. Second line, Newhook, Kapanen, Armia. They're seeing something in Kapanen. I'll admit he flies under my radar quite a bit, but sometimes that's a good thing. You're not making a lot of mistakes. You're not doing anything too dangerous. And then we have Anderson, Evans, Gallagher, Zeta, Vorak, and Heineman. I just thought that was interesting. The other interesting little tidbit is that Caufield, in the 3 games that the Habs played against the Rags last season, Caufield had 3 goals. I think it was actually 1 goal in one game, 2 goals in another, and 0 in the other. So let's see if he can strike again. Anyway, I hope that was a fun one for you, Habs fans. I like looking through these stats and trying to plot a trajectory of where players could possibly land. If you liked it, definitely like the video, subscribe if you're not already a Whiskey Fiend, and as always, I'll see you down below in the comments.